Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomlemle in Accra on digital address GA0993341 on Joy 99.7 FM. It's also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country, ABN Radio in London, and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, Digibank. Let's go. Coming up, government accuses Ghana Medical Association of inconsistency in the medical drone saga, saying it's shocked the group is now opposed to an idea it earlier backed.
The Ghana Medical Association welcomed the decision by government, and to quote the General Secretary of the GMA, and I quote, "We say kudos. Government is therefore taken aback at the current position of the GMA."
We'll bring you more as government says the drone service has come to stay. Also in this package, experts urge government to deploy all security resources available to give the state its best shot at securing lasting peace in northern region town of Yendi as burials of the late overlords inch closer.
The state uses its resources, its coercive powers, its conflict resolution powers to say enough is enough.
We'll tell you more as chairman of the Committee of Eminent Chiefs, Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II, warns against any enskinment until a new Yana is selected. And retired Supreme Court Judge William Atuguba reveals how some individuals approach judges of Ghana's apex court, hoping to induce them to give favorable judgments.
Some people will even dare trying to induce even Supreme Court judges with money. Most painful, you can't believe that some human beings are capable of diabolical behavior.
We'll tell you more as he defends the court's famous election petition judgment. And in sports,
there's an interesting story in terms of player transfers in the country because Karela Football Club, they are accusing Hasselfolk of signing their player who has a running contract with them, but the player's father, who doubles as his agent, claims the Enzema Unasi Bay side have no case.
And later in this package, some parents and children opening up to Joy News about current parenting trends inspired by exposure to the rest of the world.
So I tell her, this is your breast. Boys will love to touch it. Be careful. So I'm waiting for the day she will even have her menses, and I'll take her to that level also.
We'll hear more from parents and the children. I'm Bernice Abubeidu Lansa. Thanks for your company. Government says it is shocked at what it describes as the inconsistent position of the Ghana Medical Association towards the implementation of the drone delivery health system. The Ghana Medical Association on Tuesday demanded the immediate suspension of the medical drones contract, accusing government of failing to consult it. But speaking to journalists today, Deputy Information Minister Pius Hadide revealed the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Justice Yankson, pledged the association's full support for the rollout of the drone system when he met the Vice President earlier this year.
The Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, announced to the Ghana Medical Association government's intention to roll out the project as part of efforts to ensure effective healthcare delivery. The Ghana Medical Association welcomed the decision by government, and to quote the General Secretary of the GMA, Dr. Justice Yankson's reaction to the announcement, and I quote, "Well, as for us as an association, on countless occasions, we have bemoaned the state of emergency medical service in the country. So, if efforts are being made by the government to ensure that we strengthen that sector, we strengthen that aspect of our healthcare delivery, then we say kudos. Government is therefore taken aback at the current position of the GMA when it says, and I quote, the proposed services to be provided by the drones do not conform to the primary healthcare policy in Ghana."
You had Deputy Information Minister Pius Hadzide there. My colleague Nancy Emefa-Dradosi was at that press briefing and joins me in the studio with more. And Nancy, so did the minister respond to the demands by the association to have the drone system suspended?
Well, he says that was not going to happen. According to him, since Parliament has already passed this into law, they're just going to roll out the program. All they can do is to sit with them and explain further what the drone system actually means.
Once the Parliament of Ghana has passed the deal, it is now binding. We are grateful to Parliament for that. It is now binding, and we expect that in the shortest possible time, implementation will commence. Government is, however, willing and ready to engage with any stakeholder who seeks to engage with a view to giving clarity on the matters on which they may lack understanding and clarity. We think that the GMA may only require a further explanation on the matter.
Deputy Information Minister Pius Hadzide there. Well, we are learning the Ghana Medical Association is currently in a meeting with Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. We will surely furnish you with details of that meeting when we get information from it. Now, security experts are urging government to deploy all the state's best security resources to give the northern region town of Yendi its best shot at securing lasting peace. In less than 48 hours, all eyes will be on that northern regional town where the burials of the late overlords of Dagbon are to commence. The parties ensuring the burial of the two late chiefs have already pledged their support to the process. Security analyst Dr. Kwesi Enin wants government to go all out to ensure that there is peace during and after the funeral rites. He spoke on PM Express on the Joy News channel.
The ability to contain those emotions, otherwise they begin to have some security implications. And from the Guardian article, and I'm sure quite a number of other international newspapers are writing, other intelligence agencies are assessing the threat, because this goes beyond just Dagbon. It's about whether we are secure enough for people to invest here, whether our intelligence and security forces have understood the threat and can prevent it from escalating. But let me make a final point. As Ghanaians, we have an interest in ensuring that we bring this crisis to an end in which the critical stakeholders are satisfied that they must give and then take.
You heard security analyst Dr. Kwesi Enin. Well, chairman of the eminent chiefs leading the mediation process, Otumfuo Osei II, has directed that both royal families, the Andanis and Abudus, desist from undertaking any unscalement till a new Yana is selected. Here are extracts of a letter written to the regional minister by the Asante Hene's office.
I am directed by His Majesty Otumfuo Osei II, Asante Hene, acting as chairman of eminent chiefs, to formally notify you that as part of peace process, he has directed that from the commencement to the end of the funeral by both gates, there should be no enskinment in Yendi until after the selection of a new Yana. It is the hope of the Committee of Eminent Chiefs that all concerned will fully cooperate to ensure the successful conclusion of the roadmap and to pave way for the restoration of peace in Dagbon. Yours faithfully, Kofi Bedu, Chief of Staff.
Those are extracts of a letter from the Asante Hene's office to the Northern Regional Minister. Co-founder of the West African Network for Peace Building, WANEP, Emmanuel Bombande, wants those leading the enforcement of the roadmap to peace in the area to desist from sounding instructive and be more persuasive, especially as the funeral rites of one of the two late overlords begins on Thursday. He spoke on PM Express with Evans Mensah.
In that process of consultation, if the statement is framed in our commitment together as parties from the Abudu and Andani royal families, with working with the Committee of Eminent Chiefs, we have all accepted that once the processes of the funerals begin, no party should enskin. What that framing does is to recognize their role in the way and manner the funeral should not happen. So it not only do they recognize the ownership in the parties, but it also is an assurance thing. that this statement appears as a directive. And I want to continue to appeal that mediation is not direct. It is soliciting cooperation through persuasion. So that will be point number one.
So you're the wish there was a more cooperative, inclusive framing of
the language. Because when you say, it's like I'm directing you to, because technically speaking, the commander-in-chief, who is our head of state, the president, is the one who can direct our security. To do. You understand what I mean?
I get you.
Emmanuel Bombande is co-founder of OneUp and will bring you updates on this particular development in the northern region town of Yendi. Away from that, an 8-year-old boy is struggling to adjust to life 2 years after a vehicle veered off the road, crashing him into a wall on his school compound. Jeremiah Arthur is yet to be compensated, but the financial difficulties imposed by the accident are not the only part of the challenge he faces with his disability. Here are excerpts of this week's Hotline documentary titled A Boy's Wish, produced by Manasseh Ozuriawuni.
On the second day of June 2016, Jeremiah Arthur left for school very healthy, but what happened later that day changed his life forever. While waiting to be picked after school, a vehicle driven by a 62-year-old woman veered off the road, jumped over an open drain, and crushed Jerry against the wall as he tried to flee. Staff Sergeant Inusa Abib, the coordinator of Schools for 2 Garrison in Takoradi, describes what happened afterwards.
The car hit the hanging leg against the wall, and I suspect the woman was stepping on accelerator thinking it was brake, so there was more pressure. Eventually it cannot push this very wall, so the leg was still in between the wall and the car until the leg auto chopped off. I took the leg and then pieces of the bones in a rubber bag and followed a car with the child to Effiong Kwanta Hospital.
In fact, the boy too is very, very courageous. Because when he was picking him up, he was not crying. He didn't cry. He just turned like this and looked at the leg. It's like he was really smiling.
The driver of the vehicle which knocked Jerry is a 62-year-old spare parts dealer in Takoradi, Madam Martha Amponsa. She was charged with dangerous driving and negligently causing harm and was fined 1,800 Ghana cedis, which she paid. Sources close to the scene of the accident allege she did not have the requisite documentation and licenses to drive at the time of the accident. A police report cited by Joy News reveals the vehicle she was driving was registered in 2016, the year of the accident. Her driver's license was issued on the 1st of June, just 1 day before the accident. The vehicle's insurance was issued on the 2nd of June, the same day she knocked Jeremiah Arthur. When Joy News contacted her, she declined to comment on the matter.
We found it a bit difficult to get back on track. Everybody became scared. Looking at the scene where the accident occurred, that was the safest place one could tell the kids to wait for their parents during closing. And if they had closed and waiting there for their parents and the vehicle could veer off the road to that extent, it was a very bad sight.
Jerry wanted to be a soldier, a reason he was taken to a school run by the Ghana Armed Forces. Now, he is wheelchair-bound and has one leg, which is still undergoing surgeries.
If you had one wish to make, what would that wish be?
That wish must be to have another leg.
Manasseh Ozuriawuni with that story. It was an excerpt of a Hotline documentary titled A Boy's Wish, and expect the full documentary tomorrow on the Super Morning Show. Let's now take you to the NDC's headquarters because the main opposition party has been assessing the government's performance at their Maiden Moment of Truth series. Kwesi Parker-Wilson joins us. Kwesi, what's the main opposition's rating of government? Hello, Parker, if you can hear me, what did the main opposition rate government for their performance so far?
Oh, well, then it's very, very poor, according to the NDC. In fact, this morning, what they've been taking to do is to recount the promises by the NPP administration at the time they were in opposition. the one district, one factory, one dam, one village, and all those promises. Now, according to the NDC, and I'll be specific, the director of our communication, that is Sammy Gyamfi, the party has woefully failed Ghanaians the transformation they promised them, because the party at the time said that they were going to ensure that they provide them with one district, one factory. Today, Sammy Gyamfi is saying that the government is commissioning already existing factories as part of its one district, one factory project. Again, they are saying that the party hasn't paid contractors as they promised in their first 100 days. So clearly, the NPP is governing this country based on lies. And this series, according to Sammy Gyamfi, is coming on the back of what the Vice President said a week gone by, that the government has delivered on its promises. And so for them, they are on the right track. But according to Sammy Gyamfi, in fact, government is not on the right track, but rather deceiving Ghanaians. You can listen to him.
Well, apologies, we can't bring you that sound of Sammy Gyamfi now. We'll do that later. But that was my colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson telling us the NDC's assessment of President Akufo-Addo and their Maiden Moment of Truth series. Now, retired Supreme Court Judge Justice William Atuguba has revealed how some individuals sometimes approach judges of Ghana's apex court, hoping to induce them for favorable judgments. He has also defended the court's famous 2013 election petition judgment that endorsed then-President John Dramani Mahama's victory in the 2012 polls, saying the panel relied on divine guidance. Ghana's judiciary in 2015 came under intense public criticism following a documentary by investigative journalist Anas Arimaya Anas detailing corruption involving top judges. No judge at the Apex Court was the subject of the documentary. Speaking at the Advent Lecture series organized by the Catholic Church in Accra, the retired judge said it was a surprise to him that people could attempt to bribe the judges of Ghana's highest court.
That election petition was decided through prayer by the panel. Well, not young people. I'm 70 years old, not a young man. That's why I retired. Some were older, but nobody broke down throughout the 8 months of that trial, long hours of sitting. And when the decision came, there was peace, total peace in the country. Also, the vilifications, they are unending and sometimes most painful. You can't believe that some human beings are capable of diabolical behavior. I looked at this way. This was a very hot issue that rocked this country. By the grace of God, He answered our prayers and things have done coolly. So why don't I sacrifice my personal interest for the continuity of the peace? So I left. Not that it's not painful. God redresses evils in His own time. But apart from political challenges in the cases I sat on, there were other challenges. You can't believe that some people will even dare trying to induce even Supreme Court judges with money to decide cases in their favor.
You heard retired Supreme Court Judge Justice William Atuguba. Let's head to Parliament now, because the House has resumed consideration of various amendments to the Right to Information Bill as part of approval processes. My colleague Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins us. Hello, Joseph. Hello, Joseph. Well, sorry, we're unable to raise him on the line. You're listening to the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. Still to come. Some parents and children open up to Joy News about current parenting trends inspired by exposure to the rest of the world.
So I tell her, this is your breast. Boys will love to touch it. Be careful. So I'm waiting for the day she will even have her menses, and I'll take her to that level also.
Let's go, My name is Kwame Sefakai, and most of you know me as a media personality, but I am also a family man. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, saves me so much time by letting me do almost all of my banking transactions on my phone. The cardless withdrawal feature allows me to withdraw cash from any UMB ATM without an ATM card. I can also pay bills, transfer money, request for a loan, invest money, and so much more. So now, I can spend less time at the bank and more time with the ones I love. Bank anywhere and anytime with a UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, and get the time to do what you love most. Download the UMB Speed App from your Android, iOS, or Windows phone today. Call 0302-633-988 for more information. UMB Speed App, Digibank, let's go!
Venturing into agriculture has been one of the greatest decisions Felix Kamasa has taken in life. The CEO of Maflix Trans Ghana is not only farming, but adding value to the produce and exporting to the European market.
It's good venture when you have a capital and you put your feet on the ground, you make your mind that you are using it for business, not like a farming, how we do farming, just a culture, no.
CEO of Maflix Trans Ghana, Felix Kamasa, on the Joy Business Van this Wednesday on TV, radio, online, and on the ground. It is powered by Joy Business and supported by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Pleasure to have you on the midday news on Joy 99.7 FM. Thanks for staying. It's now time for sports. Ridwan, interesting story you have there today.
Yeah, absolutely. There's confusion between two Ghanaian clubs over player transfer. Now, yesterday, House of Folk announced the signing of winger Dominic Eshan on a free transfer, but Karela United responded with a strongly worded letter accusing House of illegally signing the 18-year-old whose running contract would expire in November next year. They intend reporting House to FIFA for their unprofessional conduct, but Eshan's camp has spoken. We hear from manager, who is also, we understand, is the father of the player, Jude Amos Arthur, and he has told Joy Sports that Karela cooked the contract between him and between them and then his son.
I'm aware about the House of Folk, the signing. I'm also having the contract I signed with Karela on behalf of Dominic Eshan. It should end with 2017-2018, 4th October. It should end on 4th October 2018.
So what it means is that Accra Hearts of Folk are right to sign the player?
Yeah, they are right, 100% right to sign the player. I'm trying to put my heart in one or two to go and meet the career management about this issue, to trash issues down. Because for the contract I signed on behalf of the Dominic shows that the contract should end on 4th October, of which even the signing on fee, they have not even paid half of it.
You heard Jude Amos Arthur, father and agent of Dominic Eshan, the player at the center of the controversy between Karela United and House of Folk. We see how the normalization committee will get this thing sorted out. But it's simple. Go to the FA, refer to the system, the transfer system, see the contract duration, and it comes to an end. Matter close. Asamasa.
Thank you, Ridwan Asante with sports. There, let's take you now to Parliament. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins us. Joseph, we are learning that Parliament has resumed considerations of various amendments to the Right to Information Bill.
Exactly the case. On a normal day, you would know that consideration of bills and even the work on the RTI, which has been ongoing since the beginning of the year, would happen sometime around 2 p.m. when the House is done with various other businesses like the consideration of loan agreements, statements from MPs, as well as questioning time from ministers. But today, in a very rare move, we saw a situation of the House sometime around 11:20 beginning the consideration of the RTI bill, and they are currently looking at one of the clauses that has to do with how to apply for a judicial review when the officer who will be in charge of information declines any request as far as the RTI bill is concerned. And so they are considering that now. Earlier, when the House began looking at it, there were quite a substantial number of MPs on the floor, but I just did a count. Over the last 1 hour or so, a number of them have left. There are just about 30 of them sitting in the chamber and looking at the RTI bill, and it's expected that a little later in the day, that's when the House will move on to other items on the agenda. including approving the various budgetary estimates for the ministries, departments, and agencies.
Thank you, Joseph Opoku Gakpo, with the latest from Parliament. Now, the Ghanaian medical doctor who helped save the life of a passenger on a KLM flight has been sharing the full story with Joy News. The female passenger on the flight from Amsterdam to Accra collapsed after suffering severe abdominal pains. The Ghanaian doctor, Chief Superintendent Dr. Samuel Ofori, and a German doctor, Professor Manfred Spitzans, were on the flight and they worked together to save the passenger's life. Listen to the patient or the passenger, Catherine, share her story.
I couldn't move, so I was just showing signs to the next passenger sitting next to me. So I just asked her to call the crew member that I'm not feeling well. I started sweating, feeling so uneasy, and suddenly I passed out. What I realized is that I was throwing up a lot, and then when it happened to me, the deadly how do I call it? Reaction is instant diarrhea. Instant diarrhea. It just comes from me like a water running through my anus. So I started throwing out, and then after throwing out, I seized breath. I get a tight chest. I can't breathe. I can't do anything, and I have so much height from my skin. My skin was burning like fire has poured on my skin. It was terrible. I can't describe the feeling I had on the plane.
So you heard the patient there, Catherine, explaining what she went through after eating a meal on the flight. But Dr. Ofori wants you to stay safe. He says it's important to know foods you are allergic to and avoid them.
Anything that you are allergic to, just put it down, document it, and make an emphasis to your health personnel and let them know this are the situation. Yes, sometimes, because of situations that happen around, you say your medical personnel will reject what you are saying, but still insist and get that information across.
Chief Superintendent Dr. Samuel Ofori, along with German doctor Professor Manfred Spitzans, helped save the life of a passenger on board a KLM flight. Now, the world is evolving and so is parenting. I'm sure for a lot of you older folks listening, you could barely escape beatings anytime you went wrong and could hardly have a hearty chat with your parents. But today things have changed. Parents now appear to be liberal. Nancy Emefadradosi has more.
In recent years, relationships between parents and children have significantly changed. From the awkward moment when you cannot watch movies with your parent to this modern era when children ask all sorts of questions, even about sex. Ken is the parent of 3. He recounts how his relationship was with his parent.
They had to cane me, and then even deny me of food.
Due to this, Ken decided to change his parenting style. Though complex, he believes it's the best.
I had to calm down and I had to listen to them and then be like them, chat with them and then get to know how they think, how they do their things, how they understand things.
Even Reverend Gilbert Addison goes the extra mile to making best friends out of his children.
The third one is almost a teenager now, getting to 13 years. I want her to understand how I love her. So that if she hears the word I love you from the opposite sex in town, it will not be a strange thing again. So I tell her, this is your breast. Boys will love to touch it. Be careful. So I'm waiting for the day she will even have her menses and I'll take her to that level also.
I'm at the New Star School at Alaju and I'm meeting 9-year-old John, 11-year-old Enoch Selassie and 12-year-old Beatrice. They seem to be enjoying the training from their parent.
Do you chat with your parents?
Please, yes.
What do you talk about?
We talk about how I learn.
But when you do something wrong, how do your parents correct you?
They punish me sometimes, small.
I chat it to my mother because I'm staying with her. Yeah.
What kind of conversations do you have?
About school issues, like when I get angry, some of my friends when I get angry, when I go home, I tell her, and then she talks to me that I should calm down and all that. Yeah.
So do you hide secrets from your mother?
Nah.
Interesting report there by Nancy Emefadra Dosi talking about parents and children. Make a date with us on the 22nd of December at the Legon Botanical Gardens. It's party in the park. What's trending, Mapito CBD?
Sarkodie is trending after he tweeted this, and I quote, "What we need at this point might seem like dictatorship and will feel uncomfortable since we have enjoyed temporal freedom for a minute, but we need drastic measures to survive." There have been mixed reactions on Twitter. At Catway says, as Sarkodie said, it's all about mindsets, but our people are not ready to be free from mental slavery. And Kojo Sheldon says, Sarkodie be fake woke pass.
Interesting. Get onto Twitter and see all those other tweets. But that's how we end this edition of the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Top story: government accuses Ghana Medical Association of inconsistency in the medical drone saga, saying it shocked the group is now opposed to an idea it earlier backed. I'm Benis Abubeidu Lansa. Enjoy the rest of your day.